I think they can.
Voices rising.
We're not live right now.
We're not? I think we are. Yeah, we are.
Okay.
We're like, hey everyone, if you're live and watching, but we're gonna still play the intro. Um, we're just figuring this out.
I'm still learning.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
we're getting there. Sarah is practicing Ricardo's template for the intro, which she wants to know how to do. So we're about to get that going and then launch into this hopefully extremely interesting conversation.
Oh, chat's already going. Go.
Yeah, we look good.
It's Jacqueline. Yo. I was gonna ask if they were gonna be watching.
Ancient dark, calling fire into rebirth. The old ones speak through breaking light, through in that carves the
shaking it
sacred
up.
lore. They
I think
live
Jason's
the
frozen.
past into the present to guide the path we walk once more.
Sarah, you're gonna kick it off, okay?
Yeah.
Bringing the
Got to.
past to the present for a future forged in flame, where wisdom flows like rivers old and the storms recall our name, where creation stirs like thunder, where the universe draws near, and the awe of the wide and ancient sky cuts through doubt and fear.
Oh, that's dope. I like
Every
that.
heartbeat is a
I don't know if they can
promise
hear us talking through this, but
carried forward from the stars. Every sunrise holds a secret hidden deep in who we are.
Where's Shaman?
I feel the
I think he's just going inside.
strength of all before
Probably.
me. Ancestor, mountain, storm, and sea.
Jacqueline says they can hear us.
Their power rises in my spirit.
well, if anyone's watching,
Their knowledge
let's go.
walks with me.
Go.
Bringing the past to the present for a future fierce and strong.
Is that Jason's dog?
Yeah, that's Jacob. I love that.
Where the stones awaken power, where the sky reveals the whole, and the wonder of the endless cosmos sets the fire in the soul, bringing the past to the present, so the future learns to shine in the dawn of life's great mystery. The ancient strength is mine.
Yo.
Welcome to the Shaman and the Philosopher. I am neither of which. I'm Sarah. We're waiting on Shaman to get his butt back in here. Meanwhile, we have Dave from the Multiverse here today. Dave, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Dave. I am the host of Dave's Multiverse. We cover whatever kind of topics I want or whatever I'm interested in. And some people think I just do history, but I do a bunch of different stuff. I like to get into woo-woo stuff like UFOs and supernatural. I like to do sometimes health and wellness. We'll see some of that coming up. We do live streams. We do a regular one we've just started called Mars Disclosure Live. With Brian Corey Dobbs from Blue Planet Red, and Ricardo's in that, and Jason's in that. That's fun. I dropped a dope episode with Dr. Greg Little on Friday, Why don't I go ahead and show the intro to that right now, just because. What do you think? What do you think, Sarah? You want to watch my intro to Greg Little?
I do. And also, Shaman said that he is moving to his studio. He was having some problems with his connection. So just so everyone knows.
Yep. And Rue said Lady Druid has been promoted. And yes, and also Rue said, just FYI, I did just wake up from another nap. I seemed to take a nap before I joined this show. So if I look sleepy, I'm okay, buddy. I'm okay.
Same.
But yeah, let's check out our trailer for Greg Little. Let me go ahead and share screen. So Dr. Greg Little is the author of the Encyclopedia of Native American Mounds, dropping a third edition soon, and he was gracious enough to join the multiverse. Here's the intro. Forgive the AI in the intro. He gets really into, we go really into some real data, real pictures, all that kind of stuff. Can you see this right now, Sarah? Or do you have to let me? All right, cool. All right, so check this out. Dropped on Friday. Super proud of this one. It's one of my favorite episodes we've done. Let's go.
At Louisiana State in Baton Rouge, there are two mounds on the campus called the campus mounds. And they were long thought to date to about 4,000 years ago or so, or 4,000 BC. And now they are dated to 9,000 BC.
I had no idea there was, hundreds of mounds there.
It's not hundreds.
It's thousands?
Iowa had about 20,000 mounds at least. Wow. And I've had archaeologists, not hundreds of them, but I've had at least a dozen archaeologists privately tell me that, man, I wish I could do the stuff you're doing. I wish I could write popular books for the general public. I wish I could get into some of the research with giants, but I can't do it.
Woo!
Nice. Test.
You are on, brother. You are on. So
Greg is the man. I've yet to have time to watch that, but I'm looking forward to it. When I first got on X, he was one of the first accounts I found. And when I was out in the wild, finding all these, what I was sure were mounds, it was so helpful to be able to see his posts and really educate myself with that. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching that episode, man.
It's 3 hours of Greg just going ham. So it was epic. And that guy he's incredible, man. He's written 65 books.
I know,
like, what in the hell is it? Stephen King has only written like 50 something, I think. So
when I first started seeing who he was on X, I went to start looking for documentaries, like I do on YouTube. Man, found him diving, off the the Bimini Road with his wife, just all over the place, working with the Edgar Cayce Foundation. He's really, it's amazing how he's able to walk that line where he is respected and applauded by academics, but also he's over here with us, working on the kind of stuff we love. It's just wonderful to see.
Well, the dude is actually famous in the academic world. I learned about him in university because I'm a mental health counselor, and he wrote the manual on what's called moral recognition therapy, which is the most commonly used group therapy modality in the prison system, and that is actually what he's most famous for. But we're all familiar with him with the mounds. But he tells us all about his wife and how she's a big part of the his mission from beyond, for lack of a better word, to and you'll hear about that in the show, how he received this mission from beyond, and why he does what he does and why he's obsessed with mounds. So please check it out on Dave's Multiverse.
Speaking of missions from beyond, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We're going to take a slightly different approach today, some different subject matter. I personally believe it's on point, and we all do. And as we each have said to each other individually, it's just time to get together on some things, in this world we live in, missions from beyond, I think, are what a lot of us are walking around in. Many of us, like us three, and people in our chat, have woken up to it long ago, but many are around us now just waking up to it. So I'm excited for this conversation. Guys, I'll give you a little background so we can get into it on what kind of led us here. First of all, Ricardo is fine. Ricardo is traveling this week. He's coming to the United States for 2 months. He'll be flying, I think, on Tuesday. So he had a lot of prep work to do. But Dave sent me a song that he had put together, really about psyops. And we're going to let this song play whenever Dave's ready. And you guys just vibe to it, listen to the lyrics, and then we're going to launch into conversation that will lead us down all the rabbit holes we can manage to stick our feet in.
And can I just say,
you can. Yes, go ahead.
Can I just say that I hope that our goal today is not to get political or
No.
one-sided about anything.
No.
Like, we're just people talking. This is not the left. This is not the right.
No.
And we're trying not to polarize anything and make it this big political brawl in here today.
Correct. Thank you, Sarah. That is the truth. Yeah, guys. Personally, I don't even do politics. I haven't for years and years and years and years. I don't vote. I think it's all a show, you know. So it's not about any side. This is coming about because we're trying to find a way to unite people. We're sick of, all of us. Wherever you look is division being forced upon us. And, the one thing I've learned being this host of this show over the past 6 months or so is that the best thing you can do is get people who traditionally think they're divided or traditionally might disagree to get together and start talking. That, to me, is our sort of sacred mission, as you were saying, we were talking about a second ago, is that right now in a world so divided, our goal is to unite and to realize it's about us, not about them.
Yeah.
Facts.
And you'll see that in the lyrics of the first song I'm going to show. I just wanted to say that this is all Ricardo's fault, and actually it's Sarah's fault, because Sarah introduced Ricardo to Suno, AI music generation, who then introduced me to it, right. And I've just been going off on I've been making grown men cry for 2 weeks with my songs because I've been making songs like related to like relationships I've had with friends and cousins and things like that, and then sending it to them and stuff, whatnot. But I've also been using it as a sort of a therapeutic expression for myself. So I've been writing songs that I didn't share with anyone, that just for me. And it's been great. I look at like when you share an AI song that you made, with someone personal, it's like giving them a greeting card, but better.
Yeah.
Sending them a card and telling them that you're thinking about them and that you're, and why they're important to you. But it's also been, extremely, like I said, therapeutic in the regards of like just me being able to express myself. Musically, I'm a huge fan of music of all genres. There's a few genres I don't do. I don't do anything that's like super angry, because it just makes me angry. The first song I'm going to share is maybe in that angry category, but I did that on purpose. But all three songs I'm going to share today are different genres, and I hope that they sort of string together the narrative or what we're trying to present today. The first one I call Just a Conspiracy Theory, working title. You guys will be able to see the lyrics.
And these are your lyrics, right? To clarify for everybody that you did write the lyrics?
Yeah, I did write the lyrics, and I spent a long time. I mean, Suno is whatever you want it to be, right? It can be as easy as you want it to be, or it can be like as precise and direct as you want it to be. It took me a while to get it like with the tone that I wanted, musically, but I think it turned into a certified hood banger, so it's a hip hop song. So let's just vibe, check it out, and go from there. I've personally been bumping this song all week long. So is my cousin. He texted me this morning. He's like, "Yeah, I've been jamming that on my bike ride to work on repeat." And I'm like, "Nice."
There you go.
Anyway, let's go. Let's get it. Just a Conspiracy Theory by Multiverse Muse, working name. Just came up with that. I actually published this on Suno. I don't know exactly what that means, but I guess it means other people can see it.
I love alliteration, and I'm so glad to see somebody else employing it. Thank you.
All right, let's go. I'll scroll down as the lyrics change, so you guys can see the lyrics as we go.
Great.
And here we go.
Yo, call it crazy. Just a theory. Whole world's a stage. Scripted, manufactured, engineered. Sobs in the system. Controlling what we breathe. Manufactured reality. Wake the fuck up! They call it conspiracy, but it's straight reality. Government sobs trying to divide you and me. Playing on emotions, turning us to enemies. Appeal to the fear, the hate, the jealousy. But the truth keep rising, set your spirit free. Manufactured reality, theories turn true. Manufactured reality, the veil on you. The talks turn true. Yo, picture 012 towers kiss the sky. They blame 19 ghosts, ready to die. But building 7 dropped at free fall speed. No plane, no jet fuel, just a planet seed. Steel beams turn to dust in the perfect line. Physics don't lie, but the news did. Every time crisis actors crying on cue for the cam. Patriot Act passed, strip rights from the fam. Then they sent us to Afghanistan, boots in the sand. Hunting the ghosts while the poppy fields ran. Iraq invasion. Saddam got the bomb, Colin Powell live with the vial in his palm. No WMDs, found just lies in the wind. Millions in the dirt for the oil in the spin. Appeal to the fear, wave the flag real high. Support the troops while the real ones die. Fear in the air like smoke from the wreck. They divided the world with a single check. Race against race, war against the Fed, while the real ones laugh from the hills instead. It's a cold game, homie, same as it ever been, side after side, controlling how we live it. They call it conspiracy, but it's straight reality. Government sides trying to divide you and me. Playing on emotions, turning us to the enemies. Appeal to the fear, the hate, the jealousy. But the truth keep rising, set your spirit free. Manufactured reality, theories turn true. Manufactured reality, the veil on you. The talks turn true. Then 2020 hit, they said bad in the market, but Labs and Warren got the funding. No need to spark it, gain a function paid by the same hands that locked us down. Mass on faces, families torn, whole city shut down. Vax or no vax, brother against sister line in the sand. They weaponize fear, turn neighbor to enemy, man. Some on fire, cities burning alive. Crisis actors bust in, scripts memorized. Hands up, don't shoot, on repeat in your ear. Funded from the top to keep the race war near. Repeal the emotion, make the people fight each other while the real thieves laugh and count another $1 billion cover. It's the same script, different years, same divide. Side machine, keep the truth buried alive. Who? They call it conspiracy, but it's straight reality. Government sides trying to divide you and me. Playing on emotions, turning us into enemies. Appeal to the fear, the hate, the jealousy. But the truth keep rising, set your spirit free. Manufactured reality, theories turn true. Manufactured reality, the veil on you. The talks turn true. From MK Ultra to Mockingbird, they've been in our heads. JFK silence, Epstein's island for the feds. Rothschild bloodlines, pull the strings on the Fed. Few hundred families on the world. Truth said, process poison in the food. Make us fat, make us weak. Cancer in the veins, why they laugh and they eat. Fluoride and chemicals keep the people asleep. Too sick to resist, too tired to speak. This ain't red or blue, left or right. That's the lie, but partisan snakes, same crew, same tie. Infested the whole system, Congress to the throne. Work together daily to control our reality. Algorithms pushing rage, keep us clicking and screaming. Echo chambers built so we never stop dreaming. Of revolution that never comes, cause we too busy beefing. Black versus white, left versus right, while the real war is breathing. But the sleepers waking up, connecting every dot. From theory to fact, we tear the veil apart. No more falling for the fallacy, the emotional trap. United we rise, or divided we collapse. It's for the ones who see through the smoke and the lies. Tupac spirit in my veins, open your eyes. It's a war on the mind, but the truth gon' prevail. Manufactured reality, now the people prevail. Yeah, manufactured reality, theories turn true. Sobs can't hide forever. Wake up, wake up. The talks turn true. The talks turn true.
All right. First reactions to that song.
Well, you
Yes.
put it all in there, didn't you, dude?
I did. Yeah, I did put it all in there. And I wanted to say, even so, one of the last lines there is "Spirit of Tupac in my veins." I grew up on, 90s gangster rap as well as 90s alternative grunge rock. And 90s gangster rap is a psyop, was a psyop. Tupac himself was a psyop. And he was an actor, a trained, Juilliard trained actor. He was very effeminate. I'm not saying anything about his sexual orientation, but he was a very effeminate guy and an actor. And the character of Tupac was a psyop. Okay. So I just wanted to say that because when I say that 90s gangster rap is a psyop, it really was a psyop to essentially feed into, the drugs that the CIA put into those communities, okay? Increase violence in those communities, and then be a feeder to another psyop, which is the the what is it called? Not the prison system, which we have in our country right now.
We're the slave labor.
Yeah, and we're the only country in the world that has this private, money-driven prison system.
Yeah, Victoria's Secret. Oh, imagine that. Leslie Wexner already entering the conversation. Victoria's Secret here in Alabama, man, they pay prisoners to put shit together. It's well-known quantity for you audience members out there that that's the whole goal, is to get people into this prison system, and you use them as slave labor. It's modern-day slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going, Dave.
And Tupac died, right? And I've noticed a common theme of artists who kind of seem to be, they get, I would call, compromised at a young age and used to spread narratives, spread division. And I don't just mean, musicians, but artists in general. And sometimes these artists start to, look at themselves in the mirror, maybe, or maybe what they're doing is not, goes against their sort of morality to a certain point, and so then they start saying stuff about it. And Tupac was one of those. I believe Kurt Cobain was one of those people, and there's a bunch. And then all of a sudden, these artists die, and I don't know. I find that weird.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing everybody's been seeing in the news. I mean, let's just look at our at the Charlie Kirk incident, where here we are at war with Iran, and what was one of the last things he was tweeting about? War with Iran is ridiculous. It's not in America's interest. To your point, as soon as these people who are put in these positions to start to help manufacture this reality, as soon as they start speaking, no matter the industry they're in, they suddenly shoot themselves with a shotgun, which is impossible, or et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, especially when you're on a gajillion milligrams of heroin. There's just no way you can pull a trigger. You're like, you should be like this. You can't shoot yourself with a shotgun. And shout out Matt Bell, putting his own money and his own stuff on the line to help an organization that recently, I think they just got that case reopened. But if not, it's been in the news a lot. So. Yeah, Sarah, first reactions to that one, that hood banger.
It was just that, a hood banger. I like the little get fiddle riff in there.
It's my favorite part. Yeah, and what sucks about Suno is sometimes it'll do something you like, and then it's hard to like change small things in it and keep that thing you like. So, but this one just happened to turn out perfect after like about 25 tries. I wanted to just go through the lyrics a little bit,
let's do that,
and just talk about how we see and also also the chat. The chat, feel please jump in here, and I want to like talk about how we maybe see this stuff showing up. Okay. So let me reshare just in case people can't see. Was that big enough for people to see?
It was a little
The
small.
lyric, it was a little small.
Yeah.
I'll put it in there. Anyway, should I? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. But I'm looking here. So it starts off: whole world's a stage, scripted, manufactured, engineered, psyops in the system, controlling what we breathe, manufactured reality. So I've gotten some pushback on some comments I've made on X about how the whole world is a stage. It's all scripted. It's all manufactured, all that kind of thing, and that was maybe a narrow way to look at things. I thought it was a broad way to look at things.
Yeah,
What do you guys think?
I think it's the safe way to look at things, Dave. I mean, I don't. All right, let's just look at COVID because it's something we all experienced and we all went through. And now let's look at what we've all learned. Okay, Sarah, from the release of these Epstein files, right, about Mr. Gates, okay, the person and all the people really that were behind pushing it on this. If you cannot see and through all the evidence that this was planned, this was manufactured, this was intended to be a pandemic to kill people en masse,
And control us.
and control us.
And divide
yeah,
us.
exactly. It was multifaceted. We're simplifying here. Yeah, they were trying to control us, divide us, and kill us, right? Exactly. See what they could do. And as I have been told by several individuals, they were pleasantly surprised at how easy it was to put a needle in everyone's arm, to get everybody to stay home, and to create and to commit these mass crimes against humanity. That seems to be a good entryway point, I think, for a lot of people because we've recently lived through it.
It's a recent
But if
one.
you get into the studies of histories, I mean, I minored in history in university, and you start studying about Vietnam, you start studying about the Gulf of Tonkin, right? And you start looking at Pearl Harbor, and you realize that we had advance notice, and we had people stand down. You start to realize that yes, everything is engendered. All wars are not organically engendered. This country is a for-profit war machine and has been turned into one.
Yes.
I think all but 16 years, of let's call it the last 100 or so, we've been at war.
War. We've been at war.
War, right? What we've been doing is we've been allowing all the big companies to manufacture weapons.
Yep, and all those big companies are connected to either former generals, former heads of state, by family or by friendship and stuff like that. These blank checks get written to benefit these people.
So I don't know if we can pull it up later, but for anybody and guys in the chat, you may be familiar with the U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, right? It was Eisenhower who, in his last speech to the nation, warned and laid out for everybody that there was a secret government forming, that there was a coalition that was happening between people in government and people in private firms, especially speaking about the military. And he labeled it the military-industrial complex, telling us it was the biggest threat that existed, And
Sarah, can you grab that? Can you grab that speech? I feel like we should play that. Dwight Eisenhower, military-industrial complex. Sorry, continue.
No, I mean that was where I was going. Was that you dig into history a little bit and you see that this isn't just some modern sort of phenomenon, right? It's been going on since the beginning of time, at least this round.
Yeah, it has. This round. I'm glad you mentioned that. So I'm going to keep working through these lyrics. They call it conspiracy, but it's straight reality. Government sides trying to divide you and me. This is going to be something we talk about a lot today. Playing on emotions. We're going to be talking about that. Turning us to enemies. Appeal to the fear, the hate, and the jealousy. Yeah. But the truth, keep rising, set your spirit free. We're seeing a lot of that, Shaman, lately. People starting to wake up, and part of the lyric to this song is "Wake the fuck up."
Yep.
Are you seeing that? Are you seeing some global sort of awakening happening?
I honestly am, man. I think, that's part of why the psyops are getting turned up. The volume on the psyops here, and recently, especially let's call it since COVID, but even more recently, has been drastically turned up.
Turned up.
Yes, and it is becoming extremely obvious to us. People are waking up to the fact. Division is key, Dave. Division is key, and I think it's real simple why it's key. When you look at who's leading, who's ruling, what's the percentage, right, of billionaires, elitists, oligarchs, and pedophiles and cannibals? What's the percentage?
It's funny, but it's not. It's funny, but it's not. When you
would-
say it, it sounds so absurd, but it's fucking true.
It sounds so absurd, but of course, I mean, look, I mean, not to whatever Jesus, I mean, his words told us himself. He said, "Satan's in control here, y'all. Okay, you got to first get that straight. That's who your leaders are with. So, but yes, Dave, I think we are in the middle of waking up about many things. The topics we cover. I've been impressed just watching because I've been so focused, on the alternate history world. The facts, that people are waking up to, the things that we are finding, I see the same thing in that world, right, happening
Yep.
as is happening over here in this manufactured reality world. We are starting to see truths, whereas until this thing that the one good thing about this technology here we're all using is this is what has enabled us to start seeing through the lies. Now, my point about that percentage at the top, guys, if you're that 10% and you're doing things that if the rest of the 8 billion people found out you were doing, they would unite. So what is the first most important thing to do? Keep them fighting each other.
Facts.
And what have we been doing the last 6 years? Or
Fighting
longer?
each other. Yep.
Fighting each other.
Fighting each other, blaming our neighbors, blaming people of different colors or from different countries, blaming I'm on the left and you're on the right, or I'm on the right and you're on the left. Oh my God, the woke ruining the country, or oh my God, MAGA, they're so terrible.
So when you look at every manufactured war, when you look at the fact, Dave, that even these Epstein files, both Republican and Democrat administrations had the knowledge and covered it up. Both Republican and Democrat-run FBI had the information and covered it up. No matter who is in office, we still go to war. All the same things still happen. All the same people still profit because the people that are running this are above the show that we call Democrat or Republic. They benefit either way.
They do, and we're going to get into this, but the recent stuff, dividing us, like when it comes to war, and it's like I see a lot online, especially on Facebook, a cesspool. But on Facebook, I see a lot of like just stuff and maybe some of it's bots, who knows? But it's like, this is all Trump's fault. And I'm like, you guys don't get it. It's all of their fault.
Exactly.
It's everybody. It's all of them.
La-di-da-di, right? Everybody. And, the Bushes started this current Middle East stuff. Obama kept it rolling. Bombing, drone striking mofos all over the world. Biden was not fit for duty while he was in office, so somebody else was keeping it rolling at the time.
Well, they were using the auto pin, and if you dig into the Epstein files, you can see emails from him talking about mask malfunctions on Biden. Again, conspiracy theorists have long been saying, "Look at that, that's not Biden. Why is there a 6'4" Biden today when yesterday he was, 5'9"? Boy, that looks like a mask." And then you're reading these files, and what do you see? Too many mask malfunctions. We got to do something.
Yes, and I think like Sarah said it at the beginning. This is a political issue. This is a it's not even a partisan issue. Like it's a bipartisan issue. It's an apolitical issue because this goes above and beyond, way above and beyond what we consider to be our politics and the leaders that we choose. We think we choose, And so that's important to keep in mind. So we're going to keep saying that as we go. Um, Go ahead.
No, it's just yeah, as Eisenhower called it, the military-industrial complex, or I like Tucker Carlson recently. I saw him using the word supra-government, right? Meaning there is a body above what we see, right? We have our government that we call government, right? That's the show. That is the stage play for you. The actual government is above that. It's the what you call the deep state, the military-industrial complex, or it's simply the supra-government.
Super government. I like that. You ever heard of that, Sarah? Super government?
Oh, that's a new term. I like it though.
Yeah.
Yes, samesies. So the next verse is about the war on terror, which is near and dear to my heart because I was a poor kid trying to escape my environment and trying to overcome. And I had a dream of going to college, and no one goes to college where I'm from. Not I don't want to say no one, but very few. Like very few people even graduated high school. My first, in the 10th grade, which is the first year of high school in Canada, it was about 10 of us that would walk to school in the snow. Um, you know, 45 minutes to get there at least. And then by the end of it, and by the time I was in my 12 grade 12 and a half, I'll call it. We call it grade 12, not 12th grade in Canada, just FYI.
Got
But
it.
12 and a half, grade 12 and a half. It was just me and one other guy walking to school. And that guy, unfortunately, is in a very bad way nowadays. So I just want to, that's where I came from, and that's why I joined the military. Okay. And in many ways, it was one of the best decisions I ever made because I got to go to school, I got to experience stuff I never would have experienced. But I also ended up balls deep in the middle of the war on terror back in 2005 and 6. So let's go through these and Shaman was there, so I want to hear about that. Uh, so yo, picture '01, two towers kiss the sky. They blame 19 ghosts ready to die, but building 7 dropped at free fall speed. No plane, no jet fuel, just a planted seed. Steel beams turned to dust in a perfect line. Physics don't lie, but the news did every time. Crisis actors, which we're going to talk about later. Crying on cue for the cam. Patriot Act passed, very important. Stripped rights from the fam. Then they sent us to Afghanistan, boots in the sand, hunting a ghost while the poppy fields ran. Iraq invasion, Saddam got the bomb. Colin Powell lied with a vial in his palm. No WMDs found, just lies in the wind. Millions in the dirt for oil and the spin. Appear to the fear, wave the flag real high. Support the troops while the real ones die. Fear in the air like smoke from the wreck. They divided the world with a single check. Race against race, poor against poor. Fed, poor against, poor race against race, poor against the Fed. While the real ones laughed from the hills instead. It's a cold game, homie, same as it's ever been. Psyop after psyop, controlling how we live in. And there's a couple things I want to point out here, things that are important to me and that involve a song I'm going to play later. The whole support the troops thing, okay? That pisses me off royally, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I work in veteran mental health now, and we have an epidemic of homelessness, PTSD, suicide,
Yep.
and the VA is a very old institution that kind of tries its best, but it's massively bloated and doesn't do its job. And so right now I work for a veteran nonprofit organization that was started by a Green Beret because too many of his friends were unaliving themselves, right? And the whole support the troops thing, right? So here we are. They spent a blank check on these wars that a bunch of billionaires made money off of to become even more billionaires. And then here they are asking us, the people, to spend more of our cash to support the troops. that pisses me off. But it also brings me a little bit of, um, what's the right word? A little bit of hope that because people do support the troops and they do give their own cash, and if I wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for the donations of people like that. But what the fuck, guys? Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, they're willing to. They look, man. They want everybody to support the troops. They want everybody to support the wars. But as soon as that happens, I think our again another obvious lesson into how they really feel about us. I haven't served, Dave, but I've got some many older friends, and the stories I hear about the VA, brother, are nightmarish, right? And to me, I keep it simple. I got a little twinge here just even thinking, Dave, about how many servicemen are knocking themselves off every day. And where my mind goes is, where were we, Sarah? Just our last UU crew. We were talking about psilocybin, right? This little
Mm-hmm.
this
Yep.
little thing that grows out of the ground, and one dose can suddenly make somebody who's suicidal wake up in a whole new world, right? Now, our government's aware of that. Everybody's aware of that. The science is out there, right? Yet that's illegal. You can't get a hold of it. We can't help them. So what are we going to do? Well, we're just going to let I think 3 or 4 is the number, servicemen a day kill themselves because we don't care. We don't need them anymore. Would have been cheaper for us if they'd have just died over there, but they came home, and now we got to kind of pretend to put a hospital up for them. But the firsthand accounts I hear about people going to the VA, at least here in Montgomery, here in Alabama, is tragic, dude. It's just pure tragedy, and I'm doing my best this episode to keep my emotion in check. I think that's probably pretty obvious.
Same.
But it does nothing but enrage me. It does nothing but verify for me that the safest thing for me to do right now is to believe it is all a lie. To start there. Instead of guilty until proven innocent, I've seen enough. I have enough people that have tried to warn the population our entire history, and we can see it before us in every little example we're going to go through here today. They don't give a shit about any of us. Certainly not the soldiers. They want the soldiers to hold those weapons they're going to make. They want the soldiers to fly those planes they're going to sell. They want the soldiers to fire those missiles they're going to make. Past that, they could give a shit.
They could give a shit. And the psilocybin thing, I'm glad you brought that up because I was feeling a bit emotional about all this morning. So I shroomed myself up this morning and grounded myself a little bit and connected myself to the universe. I remember when I first got. I don't talk about my experiences over there, but I do talk about my experiences when I got home. And I remember having just severe PTSD, sleep issues, and my PTSD was not like related to my experiences and necessarily what I had to do or what I saw there. It was the fact that I was very quickly, within a couple of weeks, I realized that the whole thing was bullshit. And then I realized that if I focused on that while I was there, it was going to destroy me. And I had to focus on my job, which was a combat medic, and taking care of my guys. And so when I got home, I went all in. Like I was just looking at, the 9/11 lie that we were told, and all that stuff. And I never joined because of that. Like I didn't join because I was like, I need to fight the war on terror. I had to drink
For
some
country.
Kool-Aid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to drink some Kool-Aid. You needed to. If you
Stay
didn't,
sane, yeah.
yeah. But by the time I got home, it was like extremely depressing that my government had orchestrated the whole thing, and that the whole thing was built on a lie, and that people I knew died, and my mind was changed forever, and I just
I'm going to qualify real quick, Dave, and I'm going to say
Yeah.
instead of the word die, I'm going to tell you they were sacrificed.
They were. Let's just call it what it is, right? And so that support the troops thing just chaps my ass more than anything. But let's talk about that time. Okay. Now, the best place to kick that off would be the man who was sleeping on a couch when it happened in where, Brooklyn? Were you in Brooklyn?
No, I was in Queens, Astoria, Queens, 1210 Astoria Boulevard. What's up? In train, baby. Yeah, so I lived in Manhattan. I was attending the, well, I wasn't at the time. I'd already finished with the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And the week before, September 11th, my roommate Dave from Alabama, who has since passed on, we had taken a little road trip back home, and then we had gone up to Ohio to see a wedding of a family friend. On our way back, it must have been 2 a.m., 3 a.m., very, very late at night. We're coming back through the Lincoln Tunnel, and I'm talking to Dave, and I'm like, Dave, have you ever, been down to the World Trade Center, man? And he's like, no, I hadn't made it down there yet. Okay, now this is, let's see, 9/11 was Tuesday morning. Okay, this is Monday night, Tuesday morning at 2 or 3 a.m. All right, so literally hours before it happened. I take Dave down to the World Trade Center. We take our little rental car, and it's so cool, man, when you get up against the side of the World Trade Center and just look up, right? It's like this experience you can't really replicate anywhere because it's straight. There's nothing, it's just very cool to do. So I take Dave down there, and there we are at about 2 or 3 in the morning. Wall Street, the whole downtown Manhattan empties out on the weekends and overnight because it just is a business point. And it was ghostly empty. I mean, there was no one, no car, no nothing, just the two of us having
weird.
our private. Having our private moment with the World Trade Center 5 hours or so before they were going to bomb it. So Dave and I did that, and then we drove on over the Queensboro Bridge and went to home. My apartment in Astoria, the window on the corner, I was on the 3rd floor, and I had a perfect view of the skyline all the way from the World Trade Centers up to frickin' Yonkers. I could see the entire thing. We used to sit on our couch and watch the Empire State Building lights go out. That would happen at 12:01, right after midnight every single night. Anyhow, Dave slept on that couch, and I slept on the other side of a wall. I had a bedroom. So that next morning, we're passed out, exhausted from our trip, and I hear a banging on the wall. Dave's on his couch on the wall, and my bed's on the other side, and I hear banging. Boom, 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 boom. Dude, get up! I'm just annoyed. What? Leave me alone. No, dude, get up. They bombed the Pentagon and the World Trade Center. I'm like, what the fuck? Because I knew I could look out my window. So I went and looked out the window, and sure as shit, there it is, smoking. Now, they cut all communications in Manhattan. Nothing in, nothing out. We had no radio. We had no phone. We had nothing. What we had was buildings that we had been watching standing for 2 years, smoking, then one falls. Quick anecdote, the smoke, the wind shifted and started blowing our way, and we had to shut our windows because of it was all starting to come in the apartment.
Jesus.
Yeah. You could see, you could get your binoculars. You could see people jumping out the windows. Fairly traumatic. We had a friend that was supposed to be down there. So of course our priority was figuring out how the hell he was, and we ended up getting a hold of him. Our next door neighbors worked, it was like a mile away. Maybe a mile and a half. Dave and I just on feet ran to where they worked to make sure they were okay. Now, the next thing we did, you have to realize we had no sound. I mean, no communication, no way to talk to anybody. But what we had other than those buildings falling was we had F-18s scrambling and flying overhead. So we figured we were at war. We had no idea who it was, and being Southern boys in New York watching the World Trade Center fall and F-18s flying overhead, we thought we had a front row seat to the end. We really did. So we did the only logical thing, and we went to the beer store before it got shut down, and we got a 30-pack of Budweiser. We got our neighbor home safely, who had a little marijuana. And we took our lawn chairs and we got on the roof of that apartment building, and we held everybody close, and we waited to see if we were going to live through the night. finally, about I don't know, maybe 8 o'clock that night, something like that. One person gets back on the radio. They allow Howard Stern back on the radio, and that was the first time that entire day that we knew what had actually happened, or what the story was, because we had no idea. We thought they were bombs. We weren't sure, were they planes, were they missiles. So we literally spent the whole day thinking we were. Well, we had to tell ourselves, lucky enough to get front row seats to the end. Yeah, it was bad. And then the weeks after, I didn't stay too much longer in New York City. It was impossible. I bartended in Broadway theaters, was how I made my money. And of course, all my friends, it's tourism is how you did it. Well, the city just died, man. I mean, it became a pretty magical place in a way, because the way everyone united, no matter what country somebody was from, no matter what. I mean, homeless people, everybody was just being friendly and saying, God bless America.
That's
I
part of the
remember that
psyop.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was probably the only good part of it, was that everyone sort of came together. But I had to leave because the city shut down, man. There was just absolutely no way to make money or to survive. So yeah, I had personal, I sat and watched it all happen, man. Then to learn and start getting educated, as we all have since then, and to realize that was something that was perpetrated on us, by, not by the people who said it, well, by us. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, why the hell does Epstein have a picture of George W. Bush throwing a plane at some towers,
But I have to say that I've noticed recently how differently we handle these crises that we're dealt. I mean, I remember 9/11. We got picked up from school early. All the old people I was about 13 years old. All the old people were going nuts about it. And we went home that day and we just were glued to Fox News all day long. I mean, Fox News was just running all damn day. And I can't tell you the last time I opened any news from a major news network, be it Fox or CNN. We just don't do that anymore. We don't get our information that way anymore. So
Right.
I think the fact that we're getting our information from each other now, and people who are on the ground, and with everything being so much more readily available, we're navigating these crises and these psyops a lot differently, and I think that's going to be a game changer.
I'm
I
glad
think-
you
I
said
think you're
that.
right. I
I'm,
think you're right.
I'm glad you said that, and this isn't this is just what I've noticed, but the people who grew up, like, that are older than us, say, like, in their 60s, people like to call them boomers or whatever, maybe they call themselves boomers. They grew up with the Walter Cronkite and the believing the news is true. Some of them are waking up, or some of them saw that before. But there's a lot of people in that age category who are, quite confused right now, because
Yeah.
where they got their information and what and everything that they believe. Think about it. It's harder for somebody who's 65 versus somebody who's 44 to have and then somebody who's 25 then to have your paradigm shattered, right?
Yes.
You've been believing it for a very long time. So I wanted to say that we need to have compassion for those people who still believe that the news is true. In compassion in when and how we communicate with them and try to
Yes.
share this. You guys get what I'm saying?
Dude, it happens right here in my own household.
Yeah.
My folks are in their 80s, and so so many conversations have to end with people that love each other can disagree, because it's very clear, precisely what you're saying. They're still operating on the old system, right?
Yeah.
And that's not their fault. That's the system they grew up and grew into, right? And they still are there on that system. What gives me hope is the children, of course, Sarah, you're almost children, I guess, compared to me, but I mean, literally our kids, right? My daughter's 13, my youngest, and something happened the other day. I was just on the phone on X watching some stuff and had a funny look on my face, I guess, just kind of walking around and a bit of shaking my head. And Charlotte, my youngest, she looks up and she goes, What now? And I was like, well, Looks like Erica had something to do with taking out Charlie. She just looks at me like I'm a damn retard and says, "Oh yeah, I know."
Duh,
Yeah,
Dad.
they
Duh.
don't believe any of this stuff.
They see right
Typically,
through it, dude. Right, because you're seeing that they haven't come up in the system that this generation above us has. You know, they've come up with this system that we all now are using, which is just communicating with each other and getting it out there and not using that. All the news organizations are owned by the same people, guys. It doesn't matter if you're watching Fox News or CNN. Guess what? Same fucking people own both. Okay.
Yep.
It's programming to appeal to each side in order to further the divide.
yeah.
Yeah.
And to piggyback off what Sarah was saying and lead into some other stuff I want to talk about in these lyrics is, when how we're handling it now differently and we're able to communicate with each other better and share information with each other better. I'm going to share my 9/11 story. I'll try to make it quick. Man, we're already an hour in. Good job, guys. But I
Still
lived
got
in
to get
Nova.
to Sarah's lucid dreaming journal. So
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I've been having weird lucid dreams lately too. So anyway,
I bet.
I think
all
it's energetic
Yep.
out there. But
Yep.
I grew up in Nova Scotia. I'm a dual citizen, Canada and United States. At the time when 9/11 happened, I was living in an apartment with my brother, and we didn't have the internet. We didn't even have a cable or a phone. We had a Nintendo 64. So
Nice.
September 10th, I believe. I went home and I played Nintendo 64 with my brothers, smoked a bunch of doobies, and did my thing. And I wasn't due to be back in school till about 1 p.m. the next morning, which was September 11th. And I got up, got dressed for school. I had no idea 9/11 happened. I took the bus to school, and I picked up a weird energetic vibe on the bus. I was like, "What's going on here?" But I had my headphones in and whatever, but I just people's energy aura was weird. The emotions on their face were like not typical. There was also less people on the bus. And when I got to school, there was like hundreds, maybe even a few thousand, like just random people who looked like foreigners and stuff like that. And people speaking different languages. It was chaotic. It was like everywhere. And I was like, the hell's going on? And then I went to where my locker typically was, and there was all these like tables set up in front of all the lockers, and there was Red Cross like sign-ins and setups, and it happened to be right in front of my locker was a dude I went to high school with who did not go to that school. Kevin Garraway, shout out Kevin Garraway, and he was like behind this Red Cross table, and I'm like, what are you doing here, and what in the hell is going on? And he's looking at me like, what? And I'm like, I'm confused. What's happening? So he comes around the table, grabs me by the wrist like this. He's this big, strong guy, and he just yanks me towards the cafeteria and points at the TV. And I'm like, and you just see the on repeat, right? The towers crashing and stuff like that. And before I had a chance to process any of that, because I was going to Nova Scotia Community College to be a culinary artist, and which I no longer do except for kind of sort of in my spare time. But I was just ended up feeding refugees who, because I diverted flights to Nova Scotia from New York. So
Okay.
that's why there was all these people there. So we had thousands of people there for a week, some longer due to weird visa stuff and travel restrictions and things like that. So we were feeding these refugees for like a few weeks in school. There was no school. And I just wanted to share that because I find it interesting, and an interesting, like, how, where were you when it happened, sort of thing, as well as to share how, like, the technology back then with the internet and stuff was still pretty infantile, right?
Yes.
And so we were not able to, like, get the full picture for many years later. After I went to Iraq and I came back, and I told you guys earlier that I had been going into the conspiracy theory. What kicked that off for me was had this weed dealer that was like about 5 houses up, and it was like a pretty interesting like, he was an interesting guy. You literally had to, because he lived like in the basement of his dad's house, and you had to, like, and his dad didn't like visitors, but he was like a weed dealer, so you had to, like, kind of go around and, like, hop the fence to get into his backyard, and then knock on the basement window. And then he was a super paranoid guy, so he'd be like looking through the blinds, and then he'd be like, "Oh yeah, come on in, come on in." So then you had to go in, and my friends hated this because I was the connection to that connection. But when I went in there, he had the internet, and he always wanted to make me look at crazy shit on the internet with him. Like, while I bought, it's like he wanted to hang out, like, and so I had to, like, hang out with him and look at crazy shit at the internet. It always took like an hour and a half, and my buddies would be like down around the corner, "Where's Dave with the weed?" But anyway, long story short,
Dave was getting woken up.
yeah, he was one of the first guys. I don't even know what site it was on, because YouTube was what didn't exist. It was YouTube. Yeah, no, wait, no, YouTube did exist. Yeah, that's right, YouTube did exist. So this was 2000 and no, wait, did YouTube exist? Anyway, either way, he was showing me, like, oh, this, like, 9/11 was bullshit, right? I'm confusing this story. This is not after I got back from Iraq. This is before. And so right. And so he would show me all this, like, 9/11 conspiracy stuff about, Tower 7 and the whole meme of steel beams or jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams and stuff like that. So I actually went to Iraq with that in my head. But at that time, like, you were a complete maniac, insane person if you talked about that kind of thing, right? And so, and even now, because while doing research on all this, E-Bombs was the site back then. Thank you, Robert. Yes, it was. Even now, it was even hard for me to get Grok to be honest with me about 9/11. I had to trick it. And so it just goes to show you, like, how easily, and people still believe 9/11 was not an inside job, when all the evidence and there's circumstantial evidence, there's hard evidence, there's testimonial, there's people come out after the fact saying, like, that they knew about it beforehand. So even now, that psyop still exists because it was so easy for them to put it out there and have us drink it. And I want to say one more thing before I, like, let you guys comment on what I said. You mentioned how it brought everyone together, and in a sense, that's a good thing, right? It felt good at the time, but you cannot escalate a war of that scale without some sort of majority public support, right? Public approval, right? And so what's the best way to do that, right? Right? Attack the country, have terrorists attack the country. And then after which, we were inundated with the terror alert system, right? Remember terror alert orange, terror alert red, all the shit they did at the airport, all that stuff. And we were all buying it, and we were all going along with it because
For our
we
safety.
were scared. For our safety.
They were exerting more control. Exactly.
Yeah.
Anytime it's for your safety, there's control coming your way. You better believe that if the government's the one that's telling you. Yeah.
So almost all of these things are in the name of public safety. Okay.
Right.
And so I'm glad Sarah said that. Almost all of these things are in the name of public safety, and we're the ones we're going to protect you. right? And
Yeah, that's it. But first, we're going to harm you so that you'll let us protect you. Look,
Yeah.
you talk about you got to have public support. All right. Well, what happened, in Iran, right? Now, if you were to look on the support for that amongst Americans, what do you find? Next to none. What happened this morning? A bunch of people got shot up in Austin by a dude wearing a shirt that says, "I'm an Islamist," right? Or "I'm a Muslim." I mean,
Great.
literally, his shirt was. I mean, how silly are we people that we believe that the day after an unpopular war was begun, that somebody wearing a shirt saying "I'm on that side" came in and
it's
shot
not
up.
fun. It's not,
It's not
ha-ha
funny.
but it's
It's
ironically funny.
ridiculous.
It's laughable
ridiculous.
that they think it's going to work again.
It's
I
gonna
think
work.
that they flew too close to the sun with the way that COVID was handled, and now more people are privy to their bullshit. So I mean, what's the goal here? Now the Epstein files are quite literally yesterday's news, and I think that's got a lot to do with it.
I think it
I
has
think you're
so
right.
much to do with it, guys. I think I really do. I think it's got so much to do with it.
So you brought up an interesting point about crisis actors that is a common tactic in psyops. And I had a video pulled up. I'm gonna find it again if you guys could fill the air because I lost it.
Sure,
But
we'll fill the air because we'll point out a few. So Charlie Kirk's assassination, you had the old man Zimmerman who right after it happened was making a distraction. He was saying, "Oh, it was me," right, being an idiot. Okay, well, guess
I
what?
did it.
Guess what we learned about Robert Zimmerman? He was the same guy that was reporting from the ground in 9/11. Okay, they're crisis actors, right?
so ridiculous. But at the time, it seemed real, right? It really did.
Yeah.
And what do we? You guys remember
Yeah,
Pizzagate?
we should. I'm going to throw out here too by what we mean by false flag and not real.
Yes.
Everybody,
Yes, thank you.
yes. The events happened. The people died. Right. It was real. What false flag means is it's not as it was presented to you. The perpetrators are not who you are told. You are told a false story, i.e., a false flag. Not to diminish the fact that people die and people are killed, and that's what really makes us have to sit here and keep our emotions in check. So we stay proper while we're talking to you people because it just does nothing but make you honestly want to start hanging people really. But
To the gallows, to the gallows. That's how I
Yeah.
feel about it.
Yep.
I think every one of these people deserves to go to the gallows and not retire with or step down with their pensions intact and shit
Nope.
like that. Right now, George W. is sitting on a ranch, living a quiet life with going to his grandkids' friggin', plays and stuff like that. And that guy is a dang war criminal. Everyone
Yep.
knows it. Like no
Yep.
one denies that anymore. Does anyone deny that anymore?
Right.
No.
No. So, do you guys remember Pizzagate?
Oh yeah.
Shaman, do you
Who
remember
forgets
Pizzagate?
Pizzagate?
Do you remember how Pizzagate was framed by the media?
Oh yeah.
As we're gonna, so I'm gonna share with you from a channel that I absolutely love. The channel is called Sobering Stories. He's a storyteller and a researcher. He's also like a former drug addict who spent a bunch of time in prison, and now he's got this ballin' ass YouTube channel where it was like a lot of it was focused like the theme of the channel is addiction related crimes and addiction related like he did the Kurt Cobain thing, for example, but he does a bunch of different stuff. But he's been going ham on Epstein files and things like that, and psyops and whatnot. And I want you guys to watch this. I don't think we'll get what's it called, demonetized or whatever for this. But this is
Fuck them. We'll go to Rumble.
yeah, this is the Pizzagate shooter rebunking the debunk. Okay, so let's play, and I've got some commentary on this afterwards. But I want you guys to tell me what you see.
Good morning, Robin. This case shows how fake news can lead to a dangerous situation.
A false conspiracy theory dubbed Pizzagate.
Fake news. A baseless online rumor that Democrats like Hillary Clinton
were using the pizza shop to abuse children.
And Comet Ping Pong doesn't even have a basement.
Baseless allegations and crimes involving Podesta and Hillary Clinton, lies becoming dangerous.
These lies and falsities about innocent people and then spreading this image over the internet.
A bogus news story, and now this has become the center of a national debate over fake news.
The explosion of fake news on the internet.
Fake news.
This insane conspiracy idea filled with just lies.
An utterly bogus story about child abuse promoted on the internet.
Fantastic tales that some believe to be true.
Fake news. The whole thing turned truly frightening when a man showed up at that pizza parlor with a gun 2 weeks ago demanding to know more. Fake news.
Annapolis police say their officers shot and killed Edgar Madison Welch earlier this month, the man who staged what was later known as Pizzagate. The man who staged what was later known as Pizzagate.
These stories are completely and entirely false. There is no basis or fact in any of them, and what happened today demonstrates promoting false and reckless conspiracy theories comes with consequences.
Fake news.
I'm standing outside Comet Ping Pong, a DC pizza joint that went viral in 2016, not for its crust, but because a forum user with 17 usernames claimed it was the headquarters of a global satanic cabal led by Hillary Clinton. That theory, known as Pizzagate, claimed children were being trafficked through a secret basement that does not exist.
Fake news.
That didn't stop one man from showing up with an AR-15 demanding the truth. He found a kitchen and a really confused manager, but the conspiracy didn't stop there. It evolved, like all viruses do, into QAnon, a sprawling digital delusion that claims Democrats, celebrities, and Tom Hanks are part of a global ring harvesting adrenochrome from children.
Just to be very clear, Pizzagate has never been debunked, despite what numerous copy-pasted headlines would like you to believe. It has also never been proven or even litigated. It remains, for the time being, an allegation.
Media is telling you the entire story is a hoax or fake news.
Fake news.
But what does that even mean? I've got to warn you, what we're going to talk about tonight will be disturbing to some people, but this is a reality check you won't see anywhere else.
Sub sobers. It's pretty wild how a fully debunked, 100% baseless.
All right, guys.
Dave, you're making me. You're running the risk of me breaking my computer screen, especially when you put John Podesta up there. I'm thinking about.
So, chat as well as you guys. What do we see there? What do we see there?
So here's what pops in my mind is just this morning I saw a video of Congressman Tim Burchett on a podcast in which he was revealing things that had been revealed to him in private meetings and skiffs and whatnot. He was unwilling to go into some of the worst stuff simply because he says, he hates even living with it. But the stuff he described that he had seen evidence of, i.e. pictures, were children, babies in cages. You could literally go there. He said it took about a year to get into these groups where they trusted you. Who knows what you had to do to get trusted. But you were literally able to go to locations and pick the babies you wanted out of cages. And if they didn't have the one you wanted, they would just go get it for you. We're these Epstein files, that's enough for people if you have to dig in to realize that none of this is a conspiracy theory, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I am with it. Sarah, you said a minute ago that the Epstein files are yesterday's news already. I heard another guy say it like this. He said, listen, you can hit me with a nuke and I'm still going to crawl out a 7-legged mutant demanding these Epstein files. So another good one that said, if you don't hurry up and do something, the rednecks, and there was a bunch of rednecks, like it was a real picture, gotten together and they painted a big sign, said, we will do the hangings and we'll give each other awards for most creative hanging every week.
Yep. I mean, that's where we're at. Like, I don't see a scenario where there's not bloodshed and a brawl of some sort. I mean, you always hope that things can be done peacefully, but I don't think that that's the way this is going to go.
I like to look at, another thing. Look at all these guys. I saw just yesterday another billionaire that was in Epstein files going to New Zealand to his bunker. You hear this news about them building bunkers all over the world, and one side of the news will tell you the billionaires are doing that because they know about the global cataclysm that's coming, right? Well, I saw a much more interesting take on it that said, nah. They said what those bunkers are for is because they know you're going to find out what they did to you.
Interesting.
And so, yeah.
I want to highlight some language that was used in what I just showed you. They wanted to make sure they said he had an AR-15 a bunch of times. Okay.
Oh yeah.
They wanted to make sure that what this information, that this fake news was dangerous, and that they were putting this out there for our safety. Common theme. Now, I highly encourage, in fact, I'm going to put this in the damn chat. I highly encourage everyone to go watch this whole video because it will blow your mind. But we're talking about crisis actors, okay? And that guy, let me pull his name quick, Edgar Madison Welch, was a crisis actor. I didn't know that till a week ago, okay? Till that dude put that video out. Allow me to explain. They showed afterwards like a video that he posted where he's driving in his vehicle and he's driving from Virginia up to Washington D.C. because he's gonna find these rhymes with reticules and metapiles.
Kid rapers.
Because he wanted to protect his family and he wanted to stand up for Christian rights, and that he was this, or not Christian rights, Christian values, and he was basically painting himself a picture of a right-wing, right conservative valued person who was concerned, right? Then this man goes in there, okay, and as the story goes, he can't find a basement. There's a door with triple padlocks on it that he can't get into. He tries to get in there. He shoots the door, the lock a couple of times, can't get in. And then he just goes, oh, gee, I guess I was wrong. And then he walks out, puts his guns down, puts his hands up like this, and the police arrest him. And then after which, they say, oh, see, this is the right-wing conspiracy, the conservative conspiracy. It's dangerous, right? But it gets even more interesting, okay? This guy is a trained actor. He has an IMDb page, okay? And he actually serves about 4 months in prison for this, okay? And then it's done, right? It's over. But so if he's a paid crisis actor, and what do you guys think the powers that be that would orchestrate something like that would want to do with somebody who's a paid crisis actor and knew a little bit about the story?
They're going to kill him.
They did. They did. And you know what they did? They staged it as a basically a routine traffic stop in which this guy was a passenger, and when the police showed up to ask them about the routine traffic stop, this guy just pulls out a gun, so they had to shoot him, and then he was dead, wiped off the face of the earth. So, crisis actor.
I think it makes. I think it makes sense, right? Because if you've got this news spreading, you've got this news getting out there. What do you need to do? You need to shut it down. What's the easiest way to shut it down? First of all, blame it on one side or the other. Pick a guy from whatever side you need unpopular, and have him go in there and say, and he couldn't find anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's fake news.
Now it's fake news, and those QAnon guys are wrong, and all that stuff. So, yeah, crisis actors, common theme. And I didn't even. So here's the thing. I didn't even realize that's where this guy was going with this until like halfway through the video, because the narrative of it, we just were told that Pizzagate was so ridiculous, and I didn't think that that guy was the crisis actor. I thought that I thought what he was this new video was about to frame was that he knew all along and then they killed him. But he didn't know all along. They paid him to do that. Okay. Now there's a few other things that that from that video. Please check it out. That are important. Okay. One of the things that they said afterwards was he didn't find a basement. He didn't find a basement. He didn't find a basement. And it's true. There's no basement under Cosmic Ping Pong. However, adjacent, like not adjacent, but right next door is another building. I can't remember. I think it might be another restaurant or a bar or something. But there is a basement with a tunnel that leads directly to Cosmic Ping Pong, and we know that. Now that's true. That's not. We have the architectural designs and all that stuff. So, and with the whole Pizzagate thing was they were trying to not the people who were trying to get the truth out were trying to implicate the Clintons as well as Obama. There was a bunch of emails that came out talking about hot dogs and pizza, which is something we're hearing in the Epstein files, right?
Yep.
And they wanted to win the election. They wanted, Obama and Biden and everyone afterwards to vote, vote against the crazy conspiracy theories that were, infesting the conservative party, right? And I just find that so, I find it so deliberate and it pisses me off royally.
Yeah. It's all extremely deliberate, ladies and gentlemen. It is extremely deliberate. Okay, before I start getting on a tirade, because we're starting to talk about what these people have done to children, and anybody that has a child out there, I don't understand. I really don't understand how we're not already up in arms.
I don't either.
I really, really don't. I think I think that's why we're entering what looks like a global conflict at this very moment.
It's exactly why.
Yeah, to keep us and to keep that at bay, and that's exactly why. Even though the law has ordered these files to be released, they're still not released. It's just so plain and in front of you.
Yeah, it's plain and in front of us, and we're gonna get into that. I'm gonna keep rolling through these lyrics because so I surmise that everything that happened, every major crisis, and this is where people argue pedantics with me online, like every crisis, but every major crisis since Epstein was arrested has either been manufactured or been blown up and thrown in our face, and with the use of crisis actors and whatnot to confuse us and to distract us and to exhaust us. Okay, and I'm gonna read the
completely, man. That's why our food's poison. That's why everything is poison. The entire system,
100%.
even before all of this, was designed to keep us from awaking to the potential we all have within us. So it's just been a snowball ever since then. Now that there is the very real risk, I mean, it's 100% that we're gonna find out all of this stuff. Yes, they begin manufacturing everything they can.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
Well, nothing, man. I don't see. I'm trying to be quiet because once I get started, I'm not going to stop. I mean, fucking Epstein's alive. He's in Israel. He
Let her rip.
He through his own mouth said my prostate was removed. His medical records say his prostate was removed. Yet the body that they say was his body in prison was fucking had a prostate, right? I mean, it's every. No, I'm not going to let her rip yet. Not time yet.
Yeah, so Epstein himself and another guy was arguing with me like, you act as if Epstein was the tippy top of all this stuff because I people play pedantics with you online, and
Yeah.
instead of just arguing your point, which pisses me off. But no, I never said that.
Well, I mean, of course,
Epstein
he worked
was.
for the Rothschilds. He worked for every major intelligence agency. He worked with every single country. Okay, you know, you read these files, you realize that he was the go-between man. You know, he served an excellent role. And yes, he was a money laundering expert.
Yep.
You know, that's obvious from the files. That's how he first got in with most everybody, was to help everybody launder money at large scale. And then you start getting the compromise, as they call it, because you've got people that like to do dirty things, and so you just bring them to your house or your apartment or your island and facilitate the dirty things and record it. And now all of a sudden they got to do what you say do.
Yep. And so, and to piggyback on that, so this is why I don't think Epstein's dead. Okay, because himself and whoever was in control of him had what's called a kill switch. They would have had to, because what they were dealing in was secrets, absolutely demonic, horrific secrets involving the most powerful people, like you said, across all finance, finance, entertainment, politics, right? So there's no way that they would have allowed him to die by suicide or even killed him. Okay, so even they killed Epstein is a psyop.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've already learned that he had through these files. This just came out within the last week, that there was at least something like 7, you know, a large amount of storage units that he had sprinkled all across the continental U.S. slam full of evidence, right? That only he knew where they were. I mean, to your point, it's all verifiable, you know.
Yeah.
But prostates don't grow back. Yeah, that's just, you know, they don't grow back.
They don't.
No, they don't. No, they don't. So let's get into what we were getting into it. So let's get the modern stuff, the most recent stuff. So in my lyrics, then 2020 hit. They said bat in the market, but in Wuhan got the funding. No need to spark it. Gain of function paid by the same hands that locked us down. Masks on faces, families torn, whole cities shut down. Vax or no vax, brother against sister, line in the sand. They weaponize fear, turn neighbor to enemy man. Summer of fire, cities burning alive. Crisis actors bust in, scripts memorized. Hands up, don't shoot on repeat in your ear. Field from the top to keep the race war near. Appeal to emotion, make the people fight each other while the real thieves laugh and count another $1 billion cover. It's the same script, different year, same divide. Sight machine, keep the truth buried alive. Yeah, same story, different year. And here's the thing. It's not a conspiracy theory. Everyone knows that what's homeboy's name? Gain of function guy? Fauci, yeah.
Anthony Fauci.
That Anthony Fauci had, first of all, don't even get me into the AIDS epidemic and turning people against homosexual people. Yep, turning people against gay people and whatnot and making everyone scared of them. Don't even get me started on that, because we're going to stay here in 2020. But we now know that I think it's the NID, National Institute for Disease or Disease. What is that organization?
The CDC?
Anyway.
What?
The CDC and the whatever. Anyway, I'll remember it here in a second.
Okay.
It's no secret that we manufactured that.
Yeah.
We were giving money and funding the Wuhan lab.
Yeah.
And then the leak happened, right?
We've got the names and flight logs of the scientists here in America who were flying to Wuhan to work on it. I mean, yeah, it's all... Dude, look, it's very simple. I go to RFK on this one. The man wrote a whole book on Anthony Fauci and stated all of this. And as he is constantly saying, how come I haven't been sued by Anthony Fauci?
Well,
if what I wrote was a book of lies, how come nobody has sued me? Because it's all true.
Yeah. And why the is Anthony Fauci even still like alive? Like he should be beheaded. I'm sorry, because
Didn't he like buy a house in the woods or some shit with all of his evil illegal money?
probably I know he's getting the George Bush treatment. You know, he basically got to walk off into the sunset, for lack of a better word. And think about like because here's the thing. COVID-19 was a real, I'm not saying COVID-19 was fake.
No, it was just planned.
It
wasn't organic.
Correct. And it was a novel virus that they knew, novel meaning like had not been introduced into our collective immune systems, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it was a novel virus that they knew was going to kill a bunch of people. And guess what? A bunch of people at the very tippy top who we'll call Johnson and Johnson into play here. They're the ones who manufactured masks. They're the ones manufactured vaccines. They made an arseload of money off of COVID-19.
Sunscreen, also Johnson & Johnson. Did you guys know, here's a fun fact for you. Since the invention of sunscreen, melanoma rates have gone up 60%.
Of course, the sun is like our primary energy source.
But the sunscreen is literally causing the melanoma, and of course they also then make the medicine for the melanoma. You know, it's just like a look at the glyphosate just this last week again, where Trump re-protected the glyphosate. Guess who owns Roundup? Bayer.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
what does Bayer produce? They produce medicine
aspirin.
No.
They are the aspirin people.
They are the aspirin people. It's a German family, but they produce the medicine for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. What does glyphosate cause? Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yeah. Yep. And Bayer is such a massive corporation that has global ties everywhere, and so people are trying to sue over that stuff right now, but they're never going to win under the current system because it's just been held up in court by high-powered lawyers and high-powered law firms in order to, keep it. And here's the thing: like, I live in a cul-de-sac, and I don't put glyphosate on my fucking yard. And everyone around me does, and so I've tried to have like nice little conversations with my neighbors about, hey, did you know this shit is bad for you and me? So stop spraying it around my damn house. But
Right.
there's another thing, right? The glyphosate thing started in the 1940s and whatnot, when they were like we won World War II, and they were depicting like the neighborhoods of the United States to be these clean and perfect looking places and whatnot, and here's all these curated lawns and stuff like that, and now that's just part of every single neighborhood in the United States of America. People are just spraying this chemical. There's people who die of cancer all the time, spraying the chemicals everywhere. Guess how, I don't know off the top of my head, but I can imagine it's a lot, but guess how much money, how much of an industry cancer is, huh? My uncle just died of cancer, right? My aunt died of cancer. My other uncle died of cancer. And like, cancer is another one of those things, like you mentioned with the sunscreen, that like really didn't start destroying people and infesting, where our hospitals are just full of cancer patients constantly. Right. It's a gajillion-dollar business, and that didn't start happening to the 1940s either.
You got to mortgage your house to pay for your cancer treatment. So not only are they taking all of your money, they're taking your life, they're taking your property. See, I mean, it's so multifolded. Glyphosate, what else is it doing? It is destroying our farmland. Every farmer that has to use this will tell you that it is destroying the soil. Why would they want to do that? How do you control a population? Control their food? Okay. So while they're accomplishing all of these things, they're leading towards more control, they're destroying our food sources, and they're killing us and taking our money and taking our property. It is wealth redistribution, just like COVID was, on mass scale.
Totally.
Sarah.
Yes, sir.
We're at about an hour and a half, and I don't want to lead you anywhere you don't want to go. And Dave, we're not going away from you either. I just wanted to open up Sarah for a second if she wanted to go somewhere with the stuff she was sending me about some of her lucid dreams, or where it was you might want to go for a little bit.
Well, that was mostly a me and you conversation.
Then we're not going to take it public. See, that's why I was trying to lead it to you. Okay, very good.
Yeah, I wanted to give you some insight about it because there's a spiritual aspect to what is going on right now, and I know a lot of our viewers here are more science minded, but to speak on the shamanic side of things here, there is a spiritual aspect to what's going on right now.
1000%.
And I mean, even if you weren't spiritual before, you may be now. And I think that that's the story for a lot of people. It seemed to kick something off, and not just in a response to like a time of uncertainty or a traumatic situation. For me personally, it started before anything happened, before, like right before 2020. It just did a complete somersault. And I think a lot of people have had that same experience, and it seems to happen in waves. The more things happen, the more the veil, so to speak, is lifted.
I think it was one of the unintended consequences of COVID. God is going to use everything to his advantage, right? And what happened for me during COVID was my shamanic calling got to go full bore because, of course, everything was shut down. My kids didn't have to go to school, and so it allowed the process I went under to unfold in full. And I was told at the time by another buddy that I'll just use the word shaman for, but he talks to God. The way he framed it was, what's going to happen with COVID is it's going to provide everybody an opportunity to get closer to their truer nature, right? And I think beginning in that 2019-2020 period was when so many of us, not just because of the COVID info, but because we were, isolated, had to start getting information, all the things that had to happen, start talking to your fucking neighbor for once, all of the things that had to happen really is what's getting us here. And I mean that in a positive way. I mean that we all reconnected with ourselves. We had chances to slow down, right? And do the things necessary to start really just pause for a minute and look. And I think that was the obviously unintended consequence of COVID. They didn't think about that. And for the people that don't think it's a spiritual war, well, then all you got to do is just go look at your Epstein files and realize that every single one of these people that are in control of the world right now believe wholeheartedly in the spiritual world, right? I even saw yesterday Tim Dillon talking about how he says he has sources that Sam Altman and what's the other dude's name with OpenAI, right? That what they think they're doing is they're talking to some ancient Sumerian superintelligence who they're going to give birth through and control to this world through AI, right? You look at all these elites that are Satanists from the, just read the files, guys. I don't even want to have half the shit come out of my mouth. It's so awful. All right. But what they believe in is this is real. Now, what do they need to do to us? Why do they keep us divided? Why do they poison us? Why do they give us fluoride? Why do they try to shut down every single spiritual faculty we have in our body? Is so we don't realize that it's real.
Yep. And just to comment on fluoride, and I want to comment on what Sarah said, is that fluoride's a neurotoxin. Okay.
Yes.
And it's and what's the easiest way to get it into your system besides injecting it directly into your veins?
Well, you just go around to every local water authority and you say, listen, while you're processing the shit out of this drinking water and sending it back to them, would you please put a little bit of this neurotoxin in them? Don't worry, we're going to tell them it's for their teeth. Thanks, appreciate it.
And think how easy that was to tell people in the 1940s, right? And then also, your toothpaste, right?
Yep.
It's like, and don't forget to brush your teeth 3 times a day with this neurotoxin, and make
And
sure
not
that it's
just the neurotoxin, dude. I saw a guy last week that had tested Toms, right? The supposedly
I saw that
all. Do you
too.
see that shit? Loaded with lead, loaded with about
I know
every
lead's
toxin
also a
known to man.
neurotoxin as well, and I switched to Tom's several years ago because I was like, fuck this fluoride stuff, right? And then I'm like watching, I'm like, what? What? Like, nothing sacred, like
Hydrogen peroxide and baking soda, dude. That's
it's like it kills me. But the spiritual thing is interesting for me because I don't really consider myself a very spiritual person, and it's not because I don't believe in a higher power or anything. I just have had very limited experience with spiritual moments in my life. But what Sarah said is 1,000% true. I've had more what I would call what you would define as spiritual moments since 2019 than I've had in my entire life leading up to now. And I was very much a in my younger years a kind of a arrogant atheist. Then I kind of transformed into what I would call a what's the where you're in the middle? What's that one called?
Agnostic.
Yeah,
Agnostic.
I sort of evolved into what I call a hopeful agnostic, where like maybe it might be real, that kind of thing. I know that is why I haven't seen a damn UFO, because I think a lot of the what people call a UFO is I think I don't see myself, but many people I trust and find highly credible, these orbs and things like that
Yes.
are spiritual in nature. Now there is a percentage of these UFOs that are actually military tech,
Yes.
potentially, maybe not even potentially, but potentially reverse engineered from crafts that we found from modern day times as well as from archaeological sites. And this has been presented on the Senate floor. So
I've had multiple experiences, Dave. It would probably witnesses even. I'm trying to think of one because I'm gonna I'll really go off the rails and start talking about God and spirituality here if I try to tell you about a couple of them. But for one of them, man, if you want a quick story about an encounter I had, to which there is a witness, Mr. Logan, who you guys may know from my videos. All right, so there's this creek right here, right down here, where I had a little camp where I started my. I use the word shamanic to make everybody comfortable, but it's where I was going and communing with God, right, all by myself. And after I'd been walking through this process, and Dave, I sort of, I guess, opposite than you. Once I started experiencing these realities, it saved my life. I was such a bad drinker and all the things I was doing because I was so sucked into this reality that had been presented to me. I was so believing this world that had told me that none of this shit was real, And so when I encountered it, Dave, I put everything I had into it. I just leaned into it, and I was going to find out more and more, and I was going to push it, and I was going to see just how far I could go. And I went pretty damn far, so damn far that there's a lot of stuff I won't talk about in public. But one of them was Logan. I had just met Logan. He was a young man, son of a girl that a lady that I was, thinking about dating. She had kids, I had kids. We were filling each other out. And I got to know Logan, and Logan immediately showed an interest in the things I was doing, the shamanic things. And so I decided it's time to take Logan and start teaching him a few basics. So Logan and I go down alone to the creek down here to my camp that has been well established. God called it the spot. I was laying there one morning. He said, whenever I say go to the spot, this is the spot. And I was like, all right. So I built a camp there. Logan and I went down there, and we spent the better part of the afternoon. I showed him how to, first of all, make a fire, splitting the fat wood. I was teaching him, twigs and how you got to get your different size woods, just doing all the basic stuff, showing him how. We spent all afternoon, and man, it was just magic. He was loving it, and just really getting into it. Well, the main sandbar, okay, where I have my camp, it has about a 5-foot drop down to the creek, and then maybe 40 yards down was another sandbar. We had walked down to that second sandbar, and we had made a little fire on that second sandbar. Again, just trying to do it multiple times, showing him my process to get to the spot where I was communicating with what I was communicating with. Sun starts going down, Dave. Moon's coming up. And we go, all right, it's time to start walking out. So that fire had gone out. The little one we made, it was down to just barely an ember. And so we start walking back up the creek to the main camp, to this 4-foot sand ledge where the camp was on top. Now, right before I get there, Dave, I pause because the moon is big and bright, right? And I'm looking at the moon and I'm describing to Logan. I'm like, Logan, just look at it, man. Can you imagine that that's rays from the sun coming all the way from the sun and then bouncing off the moon and coming to our eyes? How cool is that shit? I'm staring, tripping out. And all of a sudden, Dave, right to my left over this sandbar comes a light. I mean, a light, it's probably about the size of your fist, bro. For a second, I thought what entered my head was some of my buddies have a drone and they're messing with me, right? That's just what entered my head in the first. And it's this little ball of light, and it comes right over us directly. Logan sees it, I pause him, and we just stand there. And now I'm telling you guys, we watched this light go 40 yards back to the fire. I'm getting chills now. Back to the fire that we had on the sandbar. And this light sits over that fire, right? Maybe 5 feet above it. And then it goes and it lowers itself down to where it's about 2-3 feet above the fire. And the fire reignites. The flame comes back up. And this little ball just sits there over that fire. And Logan and I sit there for 2 or 3 minutes. And then we finally speak. Logan's like, what is that? I said, man, that's them. That's them. They want us and they want you to know that they're here. Okay, now Logan and I then, not long after that, parted ways. We're back together now, but you know how it is. If you're not friends with somebody's mom anymore, then you can't see them. Logan, in the intervening time, kept at it. He kept going because that was real. He knew it and he saw it. And by the time 2.5, maybe 3 years later, I got back with Logan, the first time I went to the fire, Logan started teaching me stuff. Logan said, listen, man, so this whole shamanic realm thing, he's a natural. He says, I've been talking to the shamans. He literally goes to the realm and he has individuals meet him. No substances whatsoever. We're talking a completely natural process, right? And Logan started teaching me about soul flight, man. He's taught me so much because that one instance, that very first time I took him down there, we were visited, right? Now, I've had several other stories, both in nighttime and daytime. I have seen metallic and I have seen them glowing. And without going into details, here's what I will tell you for sure. Because at the time, in these moments when these things happened, I was in prayer. Okay, I was in what I call conscious contact with God. Okay, so I then, I'm trying not to give too much because it's a lot to talk about, but these things that I was encountering were most obviously connected to my conscience and to Him. Okay, 100%. Now that shows me right there that some of these things are not governmental, and they're not what may actually be real too are, I hate to use the word demonic because that's just got too much stuff to it, but things that are not good are also up there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I am jealous because I every time I hear a UFO or contact story, I just like, what? Come on, show me. Literally every night I go on a walk, and I'm like, please,
well, in
come
private,
see
Dave,
me.
I'll share with you some details about some of these experiences, and I think you can probably get there, bro.
So we did have a moment, you and I, in Scottsdale at about 1:00 in the morning at Quest for Ancient Civilization conference, where we were rooming together and we first met in person. Yeah. And you told me that story, and I got the like. You're a storyteller, and you are actor. You have theater. I wouldn't even call actor. You have to. Actor's the wrong word. Trained in theater. So and I'm like, my back was killing me. I'm laying on the floor, and you're just like giving me like the whole story, and I'm just like laying there on the floor, probably stoned out of my mind, but in a good way. And it was really a cool experience for me to get that story firsthand from you, and that side of you, the way you get so animated, and it was a joy for me. But also, I'm jealous. Okay, contact me,
bro. We still supposedly we've got to. I know when it gets warm weather, we're going to meet in North Alabama. And when we're in person together, Dave, we'll go deep into this stuff and talk all about it. And I'll tell you precisely how I think I wound up in every situation I did, and why I saw what I saw, why it revealed itself to me, and etc. Yeah.
Can't
If
wait.
you want it too bad, they won't show up.
See, I don't even know. Yeah, I wasn't trying at any point. Every experience I've had was a total surprise.
Exactly.
It was a total surprise. A couple of them were intense prayer. A couple of them were just driving down the road, and I needed to miss an exit. Honestly, was one of the stories. That was the daylight sighting. I had a car full of people, by the way, too, that all saw it as well.
One of mine was just me standing outside looking at the stars anyways, not even thinking about that. And something inside of me said, turn around. And I did. And just, there it goes. And it looked more metallic. It wasn't glowing, but I mean, and I have a video of it. So I can find that later too. I had time to catch it on video, not a satellite. Like, it was too fast to be a satellite, but too slow to be a shooting star. So
the one I saw in the daytime was metallic too. The three kids in the car and my ex-wife, they all saw it, and we watched it for about 20 miles, seeming to move. It was dead in the air, not moving until like a tree would move it out of sight, and you go, where is it? And you'd look up ahead, and all of a sudden, a half a mile up ahead, there it was again, waiting for you to approach. Yeah.
Why don't they want me to see them?
Because you want to see them so bad.
I
just want
it's spiritual.
Answers.
It's spiritual.
It is.
It's spiritual. One time, Dave, without giving the reasons, I was on the roof of this house. It was on Christmas Eve, and I was I was going through a lot, man. A lot of people don't know my backstory, but we've all been through shit. But I was going through some shit with my beautiful daughter, who was coming down the stairs here. And I was up on the roof of this house, and I was rededicating myself, making sure, to God. And we were having just private prayer moments. And I'm a sky watcher, man. I know where the stars are, I'm a sky watcher. I'm looking over to my right while I'm up there for probably 2 hours, all told. But I'm looking over to my right, and I'm seeing these stars that are on the horizon, and there's no stars supposed to be on that horizon. It just catches my eye, but my brain doesn't say, oh, it's fake. My brain just goes, that's weird. Look at those two very bright stars where there's not supposed to be stars. And this is, just after dawn. Well, as the moment I was in was getting more and more intense, and I was engaged in prayer, just like you said, Sarah, something said, all right, now check out the stars. And I look over there to those two stars that aren't supposed to be there, like this. They start doing this. They move off the horizon. They start moving over. One of them then moves closer to the other. And as I'm sitting there, tears, it was an intense moment. Tears on my face, right, just in this prayerful moment. And I watch these things fly across, come together, and then disappear for probably, I'd say it was at least 3 minutes that I was able to watch them move across the sky before they joined and disappeared.
One of the reasons why I believe this phenomenon without actually seeing it is the credibility of the people that have shared stories with me. But another reason is because, well, first of all, before I get to Epstein, my point about Epstein on this is that the CIA and the Nazis were deeply invested in researching all this stuff. Deeply. They spent a lot of money and a lot of resources in order to beat each other to the punch, basically, figure out what was what first. And who knows what the hell they figured out back then that they didn't tell us, which likely spawned, the cabal that we live in now. But also Epstein, and when I say Epstein, I really just mean the lizard people or whatever Satanists who are controlling him were deeply invested in researching the truth behind this stuff as well, and not only the spiritual side but the scientific aspect of it too. Can you measure this stuff in science, and that kind of thing? And that's why Epstein was connected to all these physicists. That's why he was doing they were doing all this research and trying to gather information because they want to harness this power.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to finish. We covered a lot of this stuff already, and I do want to end up in a hopeful point and give people some tools to look for this kind of thing, and what to watch for, because it gets me all the time too. It does. So, but we'll kick this last verse from MK Ultra to Mockingbird. Okay, that's exactly what I was talking about. CIA looking into this kind of stuff. They've been in our heads. JFK silenced. Everyone knows that. But they dang classify it for 75 years so that everyone who was alive at the time are dead. Epstein's Island for the feds. Rothschild bloodlines pull the strings on the Fed. Few hundred families own the world. Truth said. Processed poison in the food make us fat, make us weak. Cancer in the veins while they laugh and they eat. Fluoride in the chemicals keep the people asleep. Too sick to resist, tired to speak. This ain't red or blue, left or right. That's the lie. Bipartisan snakes, same crew, same ties, infested the whole system, Congress to the throne, work together daily to control our reality. Algorithms push and rage, keep us clicking and screaming. Echo chambers built so we never stop dreaming. A revolution that never comes because we're too busy beefing. Black versus white, left versus right, while the real world is breathing. But the sleepers waking up, connecting every dot from theory to fact. We tear the veil apart. No more falling for the fallacy, the emotional trap. Untied we rise, or divided we collapse. This for the ones who see through the smoke and lies. Tupac spirit in my veins, open your eyes. It's a war on the mind, but the truth gonna prevail. Manufactured reality, now the people prevail. We covered a lot of that stuff in the first half of that there. One thing we haven't mentioned is algorithms keeping us in our echo chambers. And I think that's obvious to everyone, most everyone at this point, except for people on Facebook for some reason. Look, black versus white, left versus right, all that stuff is the psyop. It's the most base level of the psyop. Okay, it should be the most easiest one to spot. But there's a concept, guys, called flooding the zone. I mentioned it on one of your the last time I was here. But flooding the zone is a deliberate media and psyop tactic where overwhelming volumes of conflicting, sensational, or misleading information are disseminated to create confusion, cognitive exhaustion, and public disengagement, ultimately allowing manipulators to dominate narratives and bury inconvenient truths. Now, what I noticed over the last 5 to 6 years was this exhaustion from people. Pre-recent Epstein revelations, okay? You would eventually start talking to people about the truth behind COVID, the truth behind the race riots, the truth, all this stuff. And people were just like, I don't want to talk about this. Like, this is exhausting. I got a job, I got kids, that flooding the zone tactic is been a very effective psyop. People very close to me were feeling that way, okay? And just very recently, those people very close to me are starting to go, hey, wait a second, the team I was on was bullshit. Wait a second, they were all in on this? Wait a second, what's going on here? And that to me is hopeful. I don't know about you guys.
I think it's very hopeful. Look, I've got nothing but hope. You know, I think I told you, Sarah, in one of our private chats yesterday when all this stuff was erupting, that I was more peaceful that day, feeling inside myself than I have been in a while.
Yes.
Yes.
Because you know what's happening. You
Yes.
see it.
Well, I know what's happening, and I know what this means. The awakening. The look. Every big thing they do is just going to become more and more obvious, and more people will wake up. A story that comes to mind, real quick, and this is not about me. It's just a story. A quick little, whatever you want to call it, about division. I forget where I heard it. But okay, here we go. So there's a gold nugget. There's a gold signet ring that belonged to a king, and there's a gold engagement ring. And they all are sitting around, and they get into a little bit of an argument about which one of them's better, right? So you got the gold ring of the king, and he's sitting there going, listen, man, he has to take me and put me on the seal of every law of the land. Nothing can happen in the world of men without me. I am the most important among us. The wedding ring says, now hang on a second. I represent the truest thing of all. I represent love, okay? Love between two people, eternal love. God is love. How can you say that you're better than me? I represent love. And the nugget says, no, hang on a second. Both of you guys have been altered. I am in the raw, pure form just as God made me, okay? Obviously, I'm the best because I am just like he made me. And they're just back and forth at each other. Won't shut up. So finally, they go, all right, listen, we got to go to somebody who can solve this. Let's go talk to God. Like, all right, let's go talk to God. So they go talk to God. They're like, hey, God, we need you to settle something for us. And God's like, all right, what's up? And they proceed to tell their story. The king's ring's going, listen, I'm the greatest because down here it would be chaos without me. Without me, this whole thing would fall apart. I am the reason we're keeping it together down here. And the engagement ring steps in and says, no, you're love. I represent love between two human beings, as you told us all to do. I'm the greatest. And the nugget says, y'all shut the fuck up. Listen, God, I am just like you made me. I haven't been altered. I haven't been taken in by man. I am just as you made me. Now, please help us. Tell us which one is the best. God says, I'm sorry. I can't fucking help you. They said, what do you mean? You're God. There's no one else that could tell us who is the best. And he said, no, guys, listen. When I look at you, all I can see is gold. Now, that, to me, gets to the heart of the problem of division. That they want us all to forget what we are, that they want us all to forget that we are the same, that we are here for divine purposes, for divine reasons, and we all have an equal shot at being just that, because God doesn't see these divisions and these differences. These divisions and these differences are illusions that are created by this place in which we currently inhabit, this weird fucking planet of ours that has us obsessed with differences. And I just think it's really key, that we get past that as quickly as we can, because that is precisely everything, name it. All of the disgusting stuff, all of the crazy stuff we've talked about, name it. Its ultimate goal is to keep you blind, dumb, distracted. Divided. And so the quicker we can get past the division, the quicker we can come for these motherfuckers.
1,000%. And that's what needs to happen. We need to go after these motherfuckers. And I've noticed, besides, the very extreme right, the people who voted for Trump were voting for Trump based off of conservative values that he was pretending to champion. Okay. And then these recent Epstein releases has these people going, wait, these people don't represent my values. And so they're starting to wake up. They're starting to see it, And I don't know. I don't have a time limit here, but we don't want to make this go too long. But I have a couple other songs I wanted to share. One of them is a little bit more vague and a little bit more poetic. We're not going to go through word for word the
Go
lyrics
for it.
or
Hey,
anything.
just real quick, I'm going to step away for 1 second. I've got, I mean, we can keep going, but I've got a drive I have to make to take a cousin home. So I'm going to step away for a second and just make sure arrangements are good for that, and I'll be right back with you guys.
I'm gonna wait for you to play the song and talk about something else. But yeah, go for it.
Okay, hang on 1 second.
Yeah. Do you remember doing, Sarah? What year did you graduate? Not to like age out age.
2007.
Okay, so yeah, all right. So do you remember doing 1984 by George Orwell in school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I wanted to talk about that
I
quick.
have to hit the road basically in about 18 minutes.
Okay.
But you guys are free to. We can do whatever.
I'm gonna make this quick. So I'm gonna play the song. We're gonna talk about Orwell for a second, and then and then I'm gonna show everyone some logical fallacies that they can spot, and then we'll call it. This song is called "Veil of the Flood," and it is more poetic and less direct. But I wrote it to sort of illustrate the flooding the zone that everyone has been feeling. Okay.
Okay.
And so let's check that out. It's not as long. I don't know how long it is, but here it goes. Do do do.
Flooded fields of frequencies, verity dissolves like mist. Pixels pulse with velvet lies, twisting every wrist. We wander neon labyrinths, blindfolded by the blaze. Frightened flocks and fractured light, mouths open, words erased. Heart pounds against the static wall, frustrated fists, no one hears the call. We're lost in the deluge, drowning where we stand, divided by invisible hands, dancing on command. Echoes of veiled epochs, far too bent the breeze. Now the same old poison broadcast through our teeth. Narrative prison bars of phosphor light, pre-dystopian, but baby, we're getting there tonight. Silicone symphony seduce, rivers run electric red. We chase the phantom clarity, we kiss the thread like tides that swallow sunken shores and reroad every stone. We bite the bait, we swallow whole, and call the cage our home. Oh, we're lost in the deluge. Oh, we're lost in the deluge. I feel the frustration boiling under artificial skies. Heartache howling for the real before the great divide. We're teetering, the edge is velvet. The fall is calling soft strings we never saw are tightening, pulling from a we're lost in the deluge, frightened where we stand. No one sees the architects, no one understands. Dystopian sunrise, bleeding through the screen. Everyone's confused, no one knows what that means. No one knows. No one knows. In the glow, we're already gone.
Sarah, you gonna have to go?
Yeah, that's the
You're on
sun.
you're on mute, Sarah. I love it, the artificial skies, because that is the other thing that daily gets me mad is driving around, because here in Alabama, man, they are spraying us like rats daily, and they're blocking my sun and they block my moon, and it just pisses me off what man thinks he can do here in this place.
Yeah.
So listen, I got an idea, guys. Because of how naturally this has flown and how much there is still to talk about, I say we sort of commit to a reconvening along with anybody else in our little circles. You know, for Cardo, Jacqueline, we can do it in whatever format. But I think the services we're providing here, we just sort of began today. I would like to see this as sort of just the beginning of something. Yeah, that's
Same.
where I am with it. I think this goes hand in hand with everything we're doing about the truth of our history. You know, as far as all of the stuff we usually talk about. I think this is hand in hand with that, and just as important. The reason I always say that our best future requires the truth of our past is because what I believe and what I've found and what so many of us know is that it will tell us what we're capable of here on this planet, and that's the other reason they don't want us to know about it. Just like they want to fill us with fluoride, they don't want us to know what humans have actually done in the past, because then we would understand that we are not living at the high point of civilization. That is precisely how these lies, that's how these lies work, right? Hey, Kitty, is they tell us this is the high point. This is the smartest we've ever been. This is the best we've ever been. Here, take this shot, take this medicine, take this poison. Don't worry. This is the best humans have ever been. As soon as we learn there was a higher point of civilization, we get to look at them and go, fuck you. This is actually the lowest. I'm not having it.
I'd like to end on our Orwell quote, if we could. But first, I just wanted to say before that is that 1984 was basically universally read across, you know, every high school in the Western world from the 1960s, started in the 1960s and 70s, but by the late 1990s, basically removed from most required reading lists due to challenges over content, i.e. violence and sexuality. Ooh, we got to protect you from the violence and the sexuality in the book, okay? But there's a quote that I'll share. Let me just find it. Where is it? It's just quick. Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable, and to give an appearance of solidarity to pure wind. Look, guys, we have the answers to these questions within us. And as a collective, we can amplify it. And that's how we can fight back. And you have to really pay attention to the language they choose in the messaging that we're given. Does it make you angry? Does it make you scared? Does it make you sad? Does it make you think your neighbor's your enemy when really they aren't? Does it make you think your family member's an enemy when they really aren't? Yes. Look for that shit. Yep. And then look inside yourself and look at the emotion that you're experiencing and ask yourself, was this, is this on purpose? Because I'm telling you right now, I'm looking right at everyone who's watching. It is on purpose.
It is. It is. And guys, not only the world that we've been living in, the world we're currently living in, but I'm telling you, it's only going to get worse. It's going to get faster, and it's going to come flying at you. And how you're going to make it is what Dave says. It's within you. Whatever you call it, you don't have to call it what I call it. You don't have to call it God. You can call it your intuition. You can call it your heart. You can call it your peace. These are the feelings that you must lean into, that you must listen to, and that you must use to guide yourself. Otherwise, you will not make it through this. You will be dumb and distracted, and you will fall for every single lie. But when you quit listening to what's out there and you start listening to what's in here, and what you know, then you can start doing what we're all doing our very, very best to do, which is to try to start getting to what is real, what is true, and getting What do I say, guys? I'll end it with this. I'm about to take the things in my life that saved me, without a doubt, that I can say more so even than nearly God. But, he knows what I'm talking about here because he says the same thing about me. It is my children. My children save me every single day of my life, and I will be damned if I do not make sure that I have done everything I can to leave them with a world far better than the one we are currently in. And I will say that standing on your coffee table in my bare feet. I ain't having this fucking shit. I'm not fucking having it. I know you're not having it, Dave, and I know you're not having it, Sarah.
Tammy's not having it.
Everybody out there is not having it.
Tammy's not having it.
Whether it's the fraud in the entire world, you guys know the story about me and Mabilla and the fraud I learned that exists in archaeology. It is all around us, and I'm done with it. You guys are done with it, and I think we need to just keep getting together and keep doing what we're doing, educating people, showing them what we know, what we've learned, how we did it, so that we can all get together and get through this mess and make sure that these kids of mine, these kids of everybody's, doesn't have to live in a world where they're at risk for getting eaten.
Yeah, I dropped a link into the chat for the other song I wanted to play, but we just don't have time for it. But it's about my boss, who's a former Green Beret, who just died of cancer about a week and a half ago, likely from chemicals, from service-connected chemical-related stuff. This last point I'll drive home is that he started a nonprofit organization because all of his friends were committing suicide. And we're trying to now help each other, which both pisses me off and brings me hope at the same time, right? Because it pisses me off that we have to help each other because of a fucking mess that they created and on purpose. But it brings me hope that we're all it's a global awakening that's happening right now.
It really is, and we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
We're gonna make it.
It's gonna be bloody and it's gonna be bumpy and it's gonna be all kinds of things, but we're gonna make it. And they're not, and that's where I'll end with it.
Tammy, listen to my song if you're still in there. I really am proud of that one. And did you listen to that one, Jason? I sent it to you.
Yeah, I did. It's man. Yeah, again, I'm gonna sit here and get teary with you. Yeah, there's just a lot of emotion, guys. I'm sorry. I started this saying I was going to be restrained and calm the whole time, and I think I've done a pretty good job.
You did, buddy.
But there's a whole lot of emotion behind this for all of us. Our lives and our world are on the line, people. It's just that simple. It's good versus evil, and if you don't see that, you will see it soon. And I really hope you go ahead and see it now, because it's going to be a lot easier for you. And I love you all, and I wanted this process to be as easy as it can be. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go load up some children, and I'm gonna take a 2-hour drive and lighten my heart by listening to them laugh and play music and play games the whole way, and remember precisely why we're doing this. I'm very grateful to both of you for this, and we won't formally announce any plans because I know we all have our very busy things we work on. But I would like to formally announce that this topic and this direction we're heading, we will set up in some sort of regular format and continue what we're doing here.
Yeah, I'm going to do some Tai Chi because that's what connects my head to my body when I don't feel grounded. So that's what I'm going to go do. But thank you, everyone. Love you all. Love is going to be the answer, as cheesy as that fucking sounds.
Yep.
It's the truth, and it's our power.
That's it.
And we have to take our power back. So
you got me
thank
in
you.
chills, man. I love you guys so much, and I'm so happy that I met each and every one of you. I'm so happy that you guys are in my life. I'm so happy that I don't have to feel alone in all of these things that we're all learning and going through, and that we can do it together. And there's no more words I could use. There are no words I can find to grab to tell you guys how grateful I am for you. I hope the tear that's forming here just tells you how I feel. And now I'm going to go get my kids and play some fucking happy music and be very, very, very grateful to God that I had this experience. I've got you guys, and we're going to do this again.
I'm gonna drop this in the chat. Another song for Tammy before you go, and that's it. I'm done. But love you all.
Tammy, everybody in the chat, everybody that came around, thank you very much for your support in this, and we look forward to continuing these conversations and getting us all on the same page.
And I just want to shout out to my lovely co-host Jay Quillen.
Jay Quillen.
Hey, I'm live.
Where's Jay Quillen at?
She did it. She did it. Where are you at? You're next. I know you want to join this conversation too, so perhaps we can just do a big group thing next time. I know you're busy helping Ricardo get himself well prepared to come see us down here in the States. I think he's going to be here for 2 months, so I'm going to arrange a trip to go up there and see him. He said he's going to have a 3-bedroom home to himself. So looking forward to that as well.
It makes me super happy that you call her Jay Quillen like me, because I've been calling her Jay Quillen for years.
Yeah. You two grew up together. We know you're closer than we are.
I've called her that since day one. She's been Jay Quillen since day one.
Where Jay Quillen at? All right.
I
Love you
get my
guys.
ass on the road. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon.
All right. Adios.
Love you guys. Looking forward to next time. Bye.
Bye.